I wanted to tell you this earlier, but I feel like it was something that would be good to say on the pod. I was, I don't know why I was thinking about this. Just being like, probably just reflecting on like what, like being more intentional with like who I want in my life. Like you and I are both very much like, this is what we want and we're not settling for anything less. And then we do. And then we're like, why? Why did we do this to ourselves? Like, So I was thinking about that and I'm like, specifically with like the current dalliance is pushing, like I am specifically not making things more like intimate or like a, and I was like, because that is my immediate, like you and I are the same. We're very impatient. We're like, I want certainty now. I want
Yes.
to know where I stand. I want this now. I don't
Patience
want to
is
wait.
not my
I want it
virtue.
now. Right? And I was like, is it that we are impatient? Or, and this is going to hurt your feelings, it hurt my own feelings. Or is it that we were in relationships where we were not getting what we wanted? So we're trying to get to that point faster without having to invest too much. So we know whether or not that person is going to give us what we need.
You're right. I'm mad at you. You're right. 100%.
I thought about that. I was just thinking about it and I'm like, well, that was rude. Welcome back, everybody. This is Erika.
And this is Sarah. We are living understaffed, and this is the chaos we can't clock out of. All right. It's fine.
Good enough.
I feel like it's one of those things, too, that we're going to have changes over the next, year or two that, we'll come up with little catchphrases like that, too.
Yeah, like we had that one for the last year. We'll have this one for a while. Something else will come up and that'll be like, oh, that is us right now. And
yeah. That it is. So I've actually had inner monologues with myself on a regular basis, just from like different reels and stuff that I come across and different, like I follow a lot of therapist accounts that are like, this is gaslighting and this is narcissism and this is, all these things. And so I can't remember, this is a minute ago. I can't remember exactly what they were saying, but it was along the lines of like, there's two edges to a new relationship, whether it's courting, whether it's dating, whether it's whatever fucking terminology you want to put onto it. In the dating world, we're not getting any younger. And I don't give a shit about age, but it's my patience that I have less of. And it's not necessarily that I want to jump to, from square one to square 30. It's not necessarily that I want to do that. It's I want to get all of the bullshit out of the way. So like, number one question, especially in a military community, are you fucking married? Are you married?
For real.
Right? And if they say yes, that's my cue to exit. Thank you so much. I will not be that person for you. Right? Sweet. So that's a step of bullshit out of the frame. Right? But then it's like, okay, what are your long-term goals? Do you want kids? And if they say yes, then I'm exiting because that's not a part of my future. Right? And so it's those questions that I want to have answered in the beginning so that my own time isn't fucking wasted. And then I can sort of like move on to another possible candidate or move on to more focus on a hobby or myself or working out or whatever, because inevitably I am understaffed. So like, I just don't want to waste my time in that sense. On the flip side of that, I am impatient. And so there's people that are like, I've seen accounts and different people being like, you're not getting any younger, get the bullshit out of the way. But also like, that's kind of the fun in dating and courting that you're like, you're still doing all of the flirty shit and all of like the honeymoon phase stuff.
Yeah.
There's a happy medium somewhere in there. And I just haven't quite found it. And then for me personally, now I'm in that era of like, I don't give a fuck if I'm dating or not. I have toys. I don't need penis, and see you later. Because I'm just,
Yeah,
I'm over it.
Yeah, like, I have friends, we just had a mac and cheese party, not the type of macaroni and cheese you're thinking about, like, actual mac and cheese. Mac and cheese, like, a whole bunch of different kinds. It was amazing. It was fucking top tier. It was so good. And then we went out to the closest thing that we have to a club, and we, had a great fucking time. Like, it was fantastic. We had a great time. No men were involved.
Which I love.
I personally want to have an existence that passes the Bechdel test, and I don't think a lot of people do, or men do specifically. And that's a requirement for me.
Love it.
Like, and it's difficult because the things like oh, I'm getting deep for my own self, and this is very uncharacteristic. Listeners appreciate this. Emotions are not a thing I like. I did not have emotional safety and intimacy in my relationship. I did not have it. Like, there are things that I never told him because I knew I couldn't. And I was always hoping that I would be able to, but that is an expectation on my part, right? Like, he never said he was going to. I just assumed. So that is on me, right?
To a certain extent, but continue.
Yes. I mean, he should have grown as a person and realized that that was important and want to do that for other people. But me assuming that he would do that, like, I definitely was guilty of loving him for his potential and not who he actually was. Like, parts of him, obviously, we were together for 12 years. He wasn't a total piece of shit that whole time. Like, there are lots of things about him that I love, and great times that we had, right? But, like, that was one of the things that I didn't realize I was literally starving for. And I also went from a family that was like that I was not emotionally safe with them either. So now in my 30s, like, that is something that's very important to me. Like, that is something that I really want. And I can't rush that because I have a very difficult time opening up to people, just in general. And so it's like, okay, I have to do some healing, some self-reflection, because it is unfair to get to a point where, because it's two things, right? Like, men and the patriarchy have, like, systematically traumatized women. Like, women everywhere are like, we can't go out by ourselves. We have to lock our doors. We have to have a buddy system. We have to do all of these things. And that's not even including, like, women who have been in abusive relationships or men who just don't do the work and women have to. Like, that's all of that stuff, right? And then what happens when you meet a good guy and you're like, I don't believe you. So is he supposed to put up with however long it takes you to be okay, like, to actually believe him? Because being with a person who over and over and over again questions your intentions, like, you're doing something and they're like, well, you're just doing it for this reason or whatever, is a really shitty feeling.
Yeah.
And how long are you supposed to put up with that before it, like, erodes your, like, self-confidence in your relationship and stuff like that? So, like,
yeah,
I don't have an answer for that. It's just something I've been thinking about. Because to a certain extent, I'm not willing to just be like, well, I'm just going to trust you because it's kind of shitty to not. I'm not doing that. I'm not saying you should do that. But at what point should I sort of try to take risks with intimacy and trust? Like, at what point? And obviously that's different for everybody and it's different for every relationship, but it's just like, I think that's something that people don't talk about enough, because it's either all men are trash or like you're married and you have a really awesome relationship, like, and he's the best guy ever. There's no like how, but what about all the gray in the middle?
Yeah. Yeah. For a long time, even during my marriage, I had a really hard time with with my ex. When he was nice to me, I was suspicious. And I remember vividly, I remember conversations of like him doing something nice and me straight up being like, "Why are you being so nice right now? Like what's happening?" And then not every time, but I would figure out either the same day or days later that he was being nice because he wanted something or because something was happening that he was a part of and it affected me. Like, that's not okay. So, like, Gordo McJean Jacket, he is very nice to me. Very nice. And I catch myself, I mean, I've been divorced like 3 years, but I catch myself sometimes that I'm like, "Why are you being so nice?" But I'm like, because he genuinely is nice, Sarah. Calm down.
Yeah.
Like, so I think, and it's going to be a different answer for every person. For me, I think it's just a matter of like time. And there is an uncertain level of trust that I realize that I'm putting out there for the general population, not just in men, but also for like new friends and new acquaintances, that it's like, you know, networking in general, you're getting to know a lot of people across the board. And so for me, it's more of like a time thing. And I'm, true to the tattoos that we got in February, I'm now in a much more like patient mindset where I'm allowing them the space to show their true colors at whatever rate it is, you know?
Yeah.
It's not always easy, but that's kind of, yeah.
I am definitely guilty of orchestrating situations so that they show up as their best self and then being like, "Oh, he was so nice to me. He was so great." And it's like, no, it's because you made that situation so
Mhm.
that was the easiest thing he could do. Which again, that's me. But also like questioning when men usually, because part of it is that men in my life have always been untrustworthy, but also I'm attracted to men, so
Against your will.
against my will. Uh when a man does something nice for me or puts in effort for me, I still assume that it's to manipulate me or it's transactional. Like, if I don't like have sex with them, then they're going to be upset, or they're only doing this on the like contingency that I am going to do this thing for them, not just because they enjoy me as a person. And that is very, very difficult to
Mhm.
sort of like I know I have lots of friends. We both have a ton of friends. We both have a ton of people in our lives that are like, "You're great, you're awesome, you're hardworking, you're funny, you're smart, you're beautiful, you're all of these things, you're great to be around." But when it comes down to somebody who is getting to that like intimate part of you, that's getting to know the part of you that you don't, not like Emma refers to it as like the glittery shiny you versus the like underneath the glittery shiny you, like what is the real part under there? It's like you just can't trust it. And that
Mhm.
again, part of it is I think they should prove themselves, right? They should prove to me that they are trustworthy to see that part of me. Like, they need to earn that. But at the same time, like, at a certain point, how much trying is how much earning is too much? When does it become punishment?
See, and then so it's a double-edged sword, regardless, because every person is going to be different, especially on the receiving end.
Yeah.
You know? And
Yeah,
I think
that's another thing. Like, today I bought myself flowers. I can buy my own flowers.
Absolutely.
I can take myself, like, I can take myself out. I can do all of those things myself.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to put in the effort. I want you to show me that you listen to me when I talk to you. I want you to show me, like, that you think about me when I'm not there. Those are things that I want. Like, I don't expect you to spend a lot of money on me. The only thing that I do expect, like, that is at this point in my life non-negotiable, is you have to buy me flowers. Because I spent the last 2 serious relationships I was in, neither one of them bought me flowers. And they had so many fucking excuses for why they didn't want to. And now I'm like, if that's something that you are so unwilling to do, and you won't compromise on it, on something that small, that is so important to me. And, like, I'm not asking for it all the time, like, once every 2 months, and I would be
that's
fucking
acceptable.
stoked.
That's acceptable.
Like, yeah. So for me, it's one of those things where I'm like, that is a non-negotiable. If I'm going to be in a relationship with you, you have to be like, yeah, of course. Like, that's something that's important to you. I will buy you flowers. Other than that, I don't need you to spend money on me. I really don't. Like, and if you can't afford flowers, I'm out of your price range. Sorry.
Not sorry.
Mm-hmm. And that's something that sucks because, like, it doesn't suck. But for me, I was always like, in previous relationships, I was always like, well, it's not a big deal, so I'm just going to let it go. But it's for me. So if it isn't a big deal, they should fucking let it go.
Yes.
You know, like,
it's one of those things that you have to recognize your worth too. So, which is difficult for me just in general. Like, what do you mean I have to what? Who are you? Like, this is unacceptable. Yeah. I will do what I want. Thank you so much. And one thing that I think a lot of women are guilty of more so than men is that we make up that excuse that it's like, oh, well, I can live without that. I'm guilty of this. So are you. But like, oh, well, I can live without that. Like, it's not a big deal. But then it's like, then I get upset later on down the road that I'm like, I fucking knew what I wanted and I liked and I looked past that because of X, Y, and Z. You know, like.
Yeah, I was thinking about that as well. Because I don't necessarily I do have a physical type. I do. And it's trailer park hot, but you know what I mean. But that is like visceral. I saw you and I'm like, that one.
Yeah.
When it comes to people that yeah, yes. But at the same time though, like, I am very much like, I want you to be bigger than me. I want you to, like, it's okay if we're like close to the same height, but you have to be bigger than me. I want to be able to wear your t-shirts. And they don't have to be oversized, but they have to fucking fit me. And a previous dalliance, I don't even remember what I said. I was like, he's like, oh, are you spending the night? And I was like, I didn't bring my pajamas. And he was like, oh, like, you can borrow one of my shirts or whatever. And he brought me one. And I was like, oh, thanks. And he's like, yeah, I had to find one that fit you. And I'm like,
I would have gone home.
Excuse you. It was JD. It was like one of the last times I saw him. And I was like,
Good.
Ew. Fuck
and
you.
The shitty thing is, any relationship, friendship, acquaintance, dalliance, meat locker, any relationship, they could be showing you exactly what you want to see. for weeks, for days, for months, for years. And then some of those other colors, whether or not they're their true colors, but some of those other colors come out. And you're just like, okay. Like, you have no control.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I'm really trying to stick to my bones on is the only control that we have in our lives is how we react to situations.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only control that we have, right? How we think and how we react. And I don't know if because I'm constantly repeating it to myself and to the people around me, or if it's actually like setting in, but I do feel that my patience, it just in general, is growing, and that I'm less reactive to situations, whatever they may be. If they're at work, if they're at home, if they're, whatever, if it's dating, like I'm much less reactive. And I appreciate that I want to have more patience.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and again, going back to the let them thing, like it's more, I'm more, instead of being like, what do I have to say to make this man treat me the way that I want to be treated, or do the things that I expect to be at this level of emotional entanglement, and more like, he clearly isn't showing up the way that I want my person to show up, and why he's not isn't really any of my business. The effect is that he's not, so I can either put up with something that is not enough for me, which isn't fair to either of us, or I can move on, instead of being like,
correct,
he needs to do all of these things. How do I get him to be the person that I want? But going back to the t-shirt thing, current dalliance, SSIT, we were talking about that same thing. And he was like, what did he say? It was like, of course, you can, it was like, of course you can wear my t-shirt, but it's not, he's like, it's not going to be oversized or anything. I haven't been to the gym in a while. Putting the blame on him, like he's not big enough. And I was like, that is the way to say that. That is the way to say that. Please and thank you.
I have so many points to give him right now. So many points.
He fucking deserves them. He really does. He really, really does.
Are you okay? So I know we're kind of recording and kind of not, but are you okay if I make that a reel? Because that's adorable. And I know he'd be proud to be like, oh, I'm in the episode again. Like, I know.
Yeah.
But okay. I just want to make sure. Okay.
Yeah. No, he would like it. Yeah, what was it? I sent you the Forged of Moonlight thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Amen.
And he was like, yeah, I can't take credit for that. I didn't write it. I just, like put a bunch of them together. I was like, you spent a bunch of time on Instagram fucking up your own algorithm to find things that you knew I would like, put it together to say something to me you knew I would like.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
The effort. The effort. Hot.
Hey friends, let's talk about something we all cherish, our memories. Whether it's old family photos, home videos, or those special moments that define our lives, they deserve more than a shoebox or a cluttered cloud drive. That's where Forever comes in. Forever is your permanent digital home for preserving, organizing, sharing your most treasured memories without ads, without data mining, and with a guarantee for generations to come. There's a need to digitize old photos and home movies that have been stuck on that VHS. Forever makes it easy. Do you want secure private cloud storage? You pay once and you own it for a lifetime plus 100 years. If you love creating custom photo books, I definitely do. Gifts, coffee cups, blankets, keepsakes. Forever has the options that you'll love. If you want the best deals, join Forever Club. Not only do you get nearly 5% off everything, but you also earn free storage every 3 months and get access to exclusive calls with the Forever founder. So your memories deserve more than just a temporary fix or a thumb drive that we've lost. Or, I've even worked with a couple people that their external hard drives have all of a sudden stopped working. So let's try to avoid that. You deserve forever. And the link is in the show notes, and we'll link it to this video as well. Good luck out there. Let me know if you have any questions.
Also, very hot. Feel free to make this a reel. We send each other like so many reels and like in a row. Like he responds to every single thing I send him, and I could send him like 15 reels and he would still respond to every single one, not be like, holy shit. Delicious. I
Gordo
sent him this meme that was like hot. It's the little thing, guys. The little things. It's not difficult.
Literally not that hard.
Anyway.
Yes.
It's literally not that hard. I was like, it was like one of those memes where it's like a serene thing, and it was like, send this to the person you'd let hit it raw in the mountains. Send it to him, obviously. And he said, let's go to the mountains to be ethereal creatures blessed by the moon.
Okay. SSIT. Down. Wow.
And then I sent him another one that was like, what's something that I do that like really turns you on? I think it was like another Instagram reel, and he was like, it's probably when you look at me with your when you look at me, it's your eyes. Or like when you allow yourself to fully like release for me, like when I'm like in it, right? Because that doesn't always happen. I'm like, also earlier I sent him a reel about hunting for salamanders, and he was like, I would build an army of salamanders for you. And I was like,
this is the kind of energy
that was the best way to
we
respond
need.
to that.
This is the kind of energy.
Yes.
Like, the fact that men are like, oh, women's standards are too fucking high. Eat a dick, actually. It's not that, like,
they're not.
It's bananas to me that, like, I can be the best boyfriend to you and to myself at the same time while meeting all of our expectations. And then these men out here are like, you expect me to text you throughout my day? Not like, fuck off, actually. Like, you don't have to be fucking on your phone constantly, but it's not that fucking hard. Oh, I just, ugh.
Yeah, I was thinking about this, like, who, like, if you, like, got a flat tire or, like, you really need somebody, like, who would you call? Like, if you could only call the men in your life, who would you call?
I am lucky, because we talked about this last week, too. Me, particularly, I am lucky that I have several men that I could call and depend on, and there is no sex in exchange, no physical, no dinner in exchange, no nothing. Like, I would insist on being like, let me buy you lunch this week, or like, let me take you out for a beer or something. Like, I would insist, but like, there would be, I'm lucky that I've made like that little bit of network here. And because I have no family, I have no family here. So it's like, all right, sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No. I was talking about, like, there were several times where I was having a hard time for whatever reason. And I'm not the person where that's going to call you crying. I'm the person who's like, hey, I'm feeling some type of way. Do you want to do something or whatever? But you totally don't have to if you don't want to. It's totally fine. I'm totally fine. Don't worry about it. And every time he's been like, yeah, sure. Like, I'll walk around Walmart with you, or I will sit next to you while you do your puzzle or whatever. And I don't, I'm sure I'll find out when he listens to this and he responds to it, but
Probably.
I don't think it's as big deal to him as it is to me, because there have been so many times where he's like, it's not that hard not to be a piece of shit. Like, women are people. I'm like,
I wish
wild.
thought that way. I wish, like,
same.
Or like,
when I like, there have been times where we've talked about stuff on the pod, and he's texted me and been like, genuinely is confused, and I'm like, that is how everyone should respond. That is how all men should be. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah. Or the men who put women down for being high maintenance, which is different from high standards, right? And in my head, like, I'm like, if they're high maintenance for you, then let them go. Move on with your life and find somebody else that runs more your speed. Because for me, like, I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm high maintenance, but there are certain things that, like, I need time to get ready in the morning. I'd like coffee in the morning. There are things and routines that I have that, like, could I change them? Sure. But, like, my life works just fine the way that it is, And again, I wouldn't necessarily say high maintenance, but there are some things that, like, I'm not going to let go of. Now, for anyone who, like, men or woman that is dating, that's out there, and they're like, oh, well, this person, they're just not aligning with the things that I want, then give yourself that grace and let them go and try again. And while I am not even great at taking my own advice, I'd like to get to that point where I'm like, okay, well, see ya, and just cut ties and move on. Because it's only going to hurt or waste more of your time in the long run if you try to make something like that work.
Yeah.
Also,
and like, I've said it before, like, if you can't do these things, I'm out of your price range. I mean that financially, but I also mean that with effort and time. Like, if you're not in a place where you can give those things to me, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter why you can't do it.
Yeah. And it doesn't make them a horrible person. It doesn't make them awful. It doesn't make them horrible to date. It's not anything like that. It's just that we're not on the same level. And if you do...
Or we're just not right for each other.
Or we're not right for each other. And it's one of, like, if you're seriously interested in me, come back in 6 months. Like, do what you got to do to get to wherever you think you need to be. But then contact me in 6 months and be like, hey, I just don't, like... I don't know. Also, I will say that, like, current dating culture out there, especially for, like, all of the fucking apps and the instant, and we're all guilty of this just on social media in general, but the instant gratification of everything that you receive and all the notifications that we get on our phones, and we're in a horrible culture right now as far as, like, dating. And so, again, one of those things is, like, that patience thing where I'm like, I don't have to hear directly back from someone because I also have a fucking life. Like, I have podcast shit to do. I have things to get ready for the show. I have stickers I've got to order and retractable banners to design. Like, I've got shit to do. So it's like, it's one of those, like, things that patience for me has been kind of an eye opener in a sense of, like, not just dating and relationships, but also, like, my work ethic and things that I have going on at home and my family and things like that. So this episode is taking a turn from what we were originally going to record. Just
I know. It's fine. We'll talk about it next time. I know I'm guilty of putting in more effort. Like, if I, like, the whole, like, we can't expect ourselves from other people. And I have to be mindful of, like, if I'm not taking care of the way that I'm taking care of this person, am I going to be resentful? Because if that's true, then I am in a transactional relationship, right? Like, and I am very much a person, we're both like this. Like, if you're doing something for me that if I don't reciprocate it, you're going to be resentful, don't fucking do it.
Yes. Yeah. And we just talked about that. If it's, like, one of those things that you're being nice or you're doing something or you're buying something because at the end of the day you're going to receive something for that action or that purchase, I don't want to be a part of that shit. I don't want to be a part of it. Now, granted, there are such things as love languages and shit like that. So maybe someone whose love language is gift giving, but then in receiving of gifts, they also find joy. Like that's a different fucking topic. But it just, like the transactional thing it really resonates with me because with my ex, I was always so suspicious of it. And then I catch myself being suspicious, even of the start first class at work, that he does something nice for me. And I'm like, why? I was going to do that myself. And then I have to take a step back and be like, he had time. He did it. Calm your tits. It's not a big deal. Ugh.
Yeah.
So
my struggle is always like, if, like with my ex, it was like, sex with us was always sort of a point of contention because he wanted it more than I did, which isn't necessarily a problem or a bad thing in our relationship, but and it definitely wasn't a problem the whole time. But as I got older, for sure, I was like, I need other things. Like, you can't just like start kissing me and expect me to be in the mood. Like, foreplay starts in the morning. And I would sort of like I would try. And part of it is that I also didn't have the language to be able to articulate it properly. But at the same time, I would be like, these are things that I need to like feel loved and cherished. And if I don't get these things on a regular basis, I'm not going to want to have sex with you. And he was like, okay, got it. Like, okay. And then he would do it like once and be like, why don't you want to have sex with me? And I'm like,
right.
You have to make me trust you to do those things.
That's an ongoing effort type of thing. Yeah, slightly similar in my relationship, that it was like we had gotten like 2 or 3 years before we got divorced. We had gotten to the point that we were just like roommates, you know, and it's like you can't expect to just pick up and start having sex with someone when for the last 3 weeks I've seen you for a total of like 12 minutes total. And a couple of text messages here and there to just check in. Like, that's not the same as being able to show your person that they are cared for and are they okay? Are they looked after? Do you need anything? And it's not that I necessarily needed anything or that I needed to be looked after, but it's the thought that counts, you know?
Yeah, it really is. Like, again, I've been spending a lot of time on Instagram lately. But I saw this video because I had a hard time explaining this to my ex-husband because he would ask me all the time, like, you tell me you don't want to make decisions and then you get mad if I make decisions without you. Like, I don't understand what you're asking me. And I didn't really do a good job of explaining what I wanted. I have to take care of things and coordinate things all the time. And in my household, I did all that all day at work. And then I got home and I made the vet appointments. I made doctor's appointments. I made dinner. I went grocery shopping. I paid the bills. I did all of that stuff. And then if we wanted to do anything, like, I had to decide where we went and what day we went and like all of that stuff. And that took the fun out of it for me. That took the experience. Oh, it took away from the experience for me. And this person on Instagram, this guy on Instagram was explaining, like, if it has to do with like her safety or like financial decisions, you have to tell her.
Yep.
Like, are you, like, if you're buying a house or a car or you're installing a new security system or whatever, like stuff like that, you have to, like, major life decisions, not even major life decisions, like, consult her. Like, if it, yeah. But if it doesn't, just fucking make a decision.
Yeah.
Where to go for dinner? Just pick somewhere. Like,
see, and the argument is, because it happened all the time. They pick somewhere, and then in your head, instinctually, you have a look on your face, or you say something out loud that you're like, oh, but I really wanted to go to this place. But for me, one of the lessons in that is that I was like, at least I need to be grateful in a sense of at least he made the decision and I need to just roll with it. And then I can suggest, hey, next time, can we maybe go to this place? But it's always that double-edged sword. But I will say, and we've talked about it how many times on the pod, communication is a skill that evolves over time. You don't just learn communication and then you just stop after a certain point and that's it. And you've learned all that you can.
Yeah.
No, there's always ways and there's always things that you can do to improve. So like,
yeah,
I know that there's those conversations just from previous relationship that I'm like, I know that I can be more forward and more pragmatic in my conversation skills with my person to be like, I really like this restaurant, but I don't want to eat it 5 times a month. Like, that's one of those things that it's like once or twice a year for me. Now, for them, maybe they want to eat it 5 times a month. Fine. Then you need to have friends and go by yourself because I'm not going 5 times a month.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, with my ex, that was like something that affected me way more than almost anything else, I think. It's not anything else, but it's one of the things that still I find makes me really emotional when I think about it. Is like we had that argument a lot. Like I'm like, I don't want to have to plan all the dates we go on. Like I don't want to have to do it. And his excuse was always like, well, you don't like the places I pick. But he always picked places or food that I didn't like.
Yep.
And he knew I didn't like them. And he picked them anyway and then would get upset because he's like, oh, well, you just ruined our date. And it's like,
no.
You either were doing it on purpose because you wanted to justify not having to do it, like weaponized incompetence, or legitimately you didn't care what I wanted. Because we are both yappers. We are both yappers. I don't expect you to know everything that I like after a week, but after a decade, you should know what kind of food I like.
Yeah. And I feel like, if I have a food allergy, you know that week 1. But like after 6 years and you're still not picking up the fact that I don't like Brussels sprouts, what is going on? Like what kind of communication style do we have with each other? Because 6 years, 12 years, even 1 year, you're eating dinner together the majority of the time. And you don't, no, it's just one of those things that I'm like, the very, very similar to what you're saying where it's weaponized incompetence, but the audacity of not giving a shit about your person. And like, forgive me, this is crude, but if I'm in a relationship, I suck your dick. You're fucking welcome. How about you learn what my favorite color is? Or how about you learn that like, I really love pasta and my bougie ass will go to Fazoli's any day of the week. Like I don't give a shit about that stuff, or that I really like hiking. Like it's not that fucking hard. And if someone who is a planner, very similar to you, someone who is a planner is doing the majority of the planning and the majority of like bill paying or whatever, then you can come up with something every now and then and try. It doesn't have to be equal work, but you can try a little bit. It's not that fucking hard. So I'm but I'm high maintenance.
Yeah.
So, I'm not everyone's cup of tea.
I mean, and again, like I was also talking about this with my therapist, and I'm sure you can relate to this too. Like the trauma and the thing, just like the way I was used to being loved by my family, specifically my mother, because she raised me. And then going out on my own and picking someone who was very familiar, sort of, he did a lot of shit was shitty to me. But it built on the foundation that was already there. So having to deconstruct all of those things, like what is all him, what is both of them, and which one, like, and how that affected my reactions and like why it took me so long to like bring things up or whatever. Or why I didn't see something that was hurting me that I didn't bring up because I just didn't want to be a problem or didn't think that I deserved that or whatever. Like, why am I upset about this? I'm just going to not say anything about it. But the food thing really got me, and it still does because of all the other things. But it always makes me remember I don't like spaghetti. I hate spaghetti. It is one of my least favorite meals. My mom has never remembered that I don't like spaghetti. Every time I go visit her, the first thing out of her mouth is, "Why don't we have spaghetti?" And then when Nolan was doing the same thing, it was just like it's like one of those like raw things that like just like a small thing that just never really healed right. And then it was like ripping off a scab every time. And that's work that I have to do because there are going to be lots of other people in my life who are not going to remember that I don't like spaghetti or aren't going to remember that I love Mediterranean food or I don't like fettuccine noodles. Like there are so many people that are not going to remember those things and that's fine. But how do I like tell someone that that's really important to me even if it's really small? But also check myself because that is a reasonable mistake to make, especially in the beginning of a relationship. And I'm not a fly off the handle person. I will shut down and not trust you with that thing for a really long time kind of person.
I have an on the spot question for you.
Mm-hmm.
You're dating someone and they say, "Hey babe, don't worry about dinner. I got you. Just come to the house when you're off work. Grab a pair of clothes, whatever. We're just going to hang, maybe watch a movie, maybe Netflix and chill." But you get there and it's spaghetti and garlic bread. Do you eat it? Or do you explain to them, kindly, we're going to go get chicken nuggets instead?
I would explain to them kindly that I don't like spaghetti. Because I have been in a lot of situations where I have eaten it to be nice, and then they think that I like it, and I have to explain later that I don't like it.
Even so, still telling them. Because I think, for me, that if that were the situation, right, they put in the effort to cook, whether they're a good cook or not, they put in the effort to, and this is a me thing, but like they put in the effort to cook, I feel like I would still eat it, but I would be like, hey, and try to make it like a joke after the fact, because it could be that they would be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. You didn't like this. Holy shit, it doesn't exist. Let me make something else. It could be that. But I think my guilt would just kick in to be like, whatever.
I would feel really bad. I'm not saying I wouldn't feel awful.
Oh, no.
But I'm also a really picky eater, but in very weird ways. Like, pasta is very hit or miss for me because I am very particular about the shapes of pasta I will eat. Or like I like tomatoes, but I don't like cooked tomatoes. Unless they're like lightly cooked or like seared or charred or something, then that's okay. But if they're in like marinara sauce or any kind of red sauce, disgusting. I can't eat it. Especially if it's on cold pizza. Hot pizza, it's okay. Cold pizza, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Tomato soup, delicious. But like it is one of those things. I can explain all of my weird food preferences to you if you would like. But like, I'm not going to like off the bat be like, my food preferences are unhinged. And I know that, but I'm not going to change them.
No. And you shouldn't have to.
So you're just going to have to deal with it.
No, on the flip side, I have been in that situation where like my ex refuses to eat vegetables unless it's corn from a can or green beans from a can, right? And like he might have changed, I don't know, whatever. But like while we were married, it was one of the most frustrating things on the planet. And y'all can come after me. Y'all can come after me for being an awful fucking wife. But was there a time that I started to boil a whole ass head of cauliflower and then mix it into mashed potatoes? Because A, he didn't know the difference. But B, at least he was eating some kind of fucking vegetable. You're damn right I did. You're damn right I did. And if he ever listens to this, I'm not going to apologize for it. I think we might have joked about it at one point. But like, in the grand scheme of things, I shouldn't have to take care of a person and hope that they eat their vegetables. That's fucking obscene. You are not a child. Like, I'm not trying to take care of a kid. You know? Like,
yeah.
That's ridiculous. That's where my points of contention came in, where it was like, you're a grown-ass adult. So that's a different conversation for a different day. But I
did the same thing with Nolan. Because he was the same way. I am definitely like, it hasn't been long enough, I think, where I have a really firm understanding of what I want. And I don't mean like, oh, I'm not over the relationship or whatever, but I don't know what I want. I'm not solid enough in that to be able to give a good answer yet, I don't think. But one thing that I do really want is I am very capable. I'm a very capable person. I'm a strong, independent woman. I don't fucking need anybody. However, I do want to be in a relationship where I know that if I need help, I can ask for it. Without someone being like, oh, well, why can't you just do this? Or like, whatever. I want them to want to help. I want them to want to help me and to make me feel safe and secure. I want them to want that. And when I was with Nolan, pretty much the entire time, unless it was very convenient for him, if I was upset, he was annoyed. And that fucked me up a lot.
Yeah.
And I have to do a lot of work around that, because if I can't communicate my feelings or I can't be open with somebody, then I can't expect them to know that I need help. I have to be able to ask for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that every single person has like, and I've been using this word a lot, so I apologize if this is getting to be too much, but every person has seasons, right? Like they have different things that they go through in their lives. And I think that just, especially between the two of us, like with life experience, with the way that we were raised, and everybody is raised differently. Everybody has, their quirks, and every family has its drama, and every, like, what does Tolstoy say? Oh, God. He says it at the beginning of Anna Karenina. Every family has every family has its struggles in its own rights, or fuck me. Tolstoy family quote. God, I'm an idiot. Why can I not remember this? All happy families are alike. Each unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. So I totally agree with that, especially like, we've talked a little bit about it, but like the dynamic in my family between like our mom and her kids, and then the dynamic between like the people on the outside who were surrounded by her all the time in the community, that she's such an angel and she was a saint, and we're all like, on what plane do you live in? Like, what are you talking about? But it's
would have loved to have known her.
Oh my God. So it just, there's different dynamics and different seasons for people that, the relationship that you have with your parents, the relationship that you have with your siblings, maybe that fluctuates over time. Maybe it's the same. Maybe you guys hate each other forever. Maybe it's, maybe you don't have that relationship with your parents or your siblings. Maybe you don't have any siblings. Everybody has their own upbringing and their own flavor to bring to this life, right? And so over time, you go through those life experiences. You go to college, you don't go to college, you have boyfriends, you have girlfriends, you have kids, you don't have kids, you have this job, you have that job, you're homeless, you're going through all of these different seasons, and that all sort of shapes you into the person that you are, of course, because it's our life experience. The thing that I think I would like to cherish the most in a potential relationship is the growth of each other in those particular seasons. So, for example, my ex didn't meet my biological mother until we had been married already for 8 years. And, I would tell him stories. There's pictures from different seasons and whatever, from her kicking my ass or, just whatever. And so I still remember vividly, one of my grandmas and our aunt died within a few days of each other. So they had a double funeral. It was traumatic. It was awful. And I took my ex home for the first time in 8 years. And I still remember being really nervous about him meeting her. But after the fact, how wildly validated I felt when he was like, oh, she's batshit. I can absolutely see that she's putting on a front for all of these people that are in the house right now and for me. Because as soon as we got there and I introduced him, of course, there's a bunch of my siblings there. So I went and talked to them and I thought that he was following me. Bev had grabbed his arm and was like, come out here and meet everybody. And he's a grown ass man. You can take care of yourself. You're fine. And yeah. He did very well. But it was after we left and we started driving back to Missouri, I was like, so, and he's like, yeah. And it was weirdly validating. So my hope, my goal is that if I end up in another relationship long-term, is that whatever season it is, whether it's me going through some dark times, him going through some dark times, whatever it is, that we can still come together as a partnership and learn and grow through those seasons. Because it seems like with my ex, there was, and I can't pinpoint it, but there was a time that we stopped learning and growing with each other. Yeah. And we just sort of existed together. So that's I know that there's a trust factor in there. There's a communication factor in there, but that would be my hope, is that the partnership continues to bond and grow together.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. And again, I know we've talked about this on multiple episodes and multiple times on this episode, but it's everyone's line is different. Every relationship has a different where is the line between work you have to do and work they have to do to meet your standards. And everyone has different standards and
they could change over time.
You just have to figure out, and they change over time. So you have to be able to self-reflect and recognize when you are taking your mental illness or trauma or whatever out on innocent bystanders.
Yep.
Or is it something that they are doing that you are not being unreasonable for asking them to do or not do or whatever? And I think that's where I get stuck, because I don't really have a good frame of reference for that.
Yeah. And I feel like we've mentioned it before too, that it's when you show up for your person, whether it's relationship or friendship, the goal is to show up 50-50. That's the standard baseline goal, is to show up 50-50. But with the understanding that there's going to be days that I'm only going to be able to give 30%. For our friendship, for example, There's going to be days that I'm only going to be able to give 30%, whether it's because of mental health, whether it's because work is crazy busy, or because I feel really behind with podcast stuff, or I'm just not okay, or I'm sick. Then the expectation is that you're to show up with that extra 20%, because our friendship means a lot. Our friendship is there for a reason. We lean on each other for those reasons, and so relationships are the same, where it's like, if I come home and my person is there and I'm exhausted, I don't feel well, I have a headache, whatever, I'm only able to give 30% of the 50% that I was showing up with. Then they have to cook dinner. They have to adjust whatever their plan was to like help me out or whatever. And same thing, I would absolutely reciprocate that. That's what you do, But I am very guilty of, I want someone to show up with the same amount of effort that I'm showing up with. And it's not always possible, because I have energy for days all the time.
Same.
And so it's like, if you're looking at a percentage ratio of someone in a relationship, I'm constantly showing up with at least 60%, at least, So if they're down 10%, I got you, boo, automatically, because I'm coming with a lot of energy to this. But where it comes in is, if I'm only coming in with 30%, and let's say that their norm is 50%, and they can only cover that extra 10%, I also have to be okay with that, because they are putting in the extra effort, but it's not as much as I would put in. And I have to do my best to recognize that. And it's not something I'm good at.
Yeah, it's hard. And also, again, I was like, I want someone that can step in and take care of things if I need them to. Like, I don't want someone to like take care of me all the time. I can take care of myself, but I want someone to want to take care of me when I need it. I want someone to want to do those things, to want to do things that make me happy, to do things that I like because they listen to me when I talk and they think about the things that I like and what makes me feel secure. I am not willing to be in another relationship where I have to sort of bring it to them on a silver platter and them still not do it.
Yes.
Like, I'm perfectly fine. Like, if we've been dating for like, or like we're not even dating, we're talking for like 2 weeks, right? You're like, hey, I want to bring you flowers. I don't know what kind of flowers you like. I'm not going to be a dick. I'm going to be like, these are my favorite flowers. I love peonies. Pink or white, doesn't matter. But like, if we've been together for 7 years and you get me gas station carnations, I'm not going to be stoked. Like, at what point where you stop? It's like, I appreciate the effort, but it's not enough effort. It is an insulting amount of effort compared to all the things that I do for you. Yeah. So like, again, and that's something that everyone has to do. And that is also hard because it's different based on every person and every person you're dating and every relationship, and every phase of your relationship is different. And that's not if you have kids, because that is totally different, because it changes the dynamic completely, because then you have more people in the equation, right? So it's just anyway, I've been thinking about it a lot. Fuck shit. And I've been hurting my own feelings a lot, I guess. Moral of the story.
Yeah. Reflection is a bit. We've also had this conversation quite a bit, that it's like, I'm doing my best to regularly check in with myself as far as like where are you at today mentally? There's a lot of things going on at work that are stressing me the fuck out. And so I'm like, I try to check in with myself, that it's like, all right, where are you at? Like, do we need to take a step away from the computer and actually do some breathing exercises? Do we need to make sure that we're eating not bullshit every day and try to eat like a protein shake at lunch instead of nothing and peanut butter M&Ms. Like,
yeah.
So I that is a tool that I'm using with my therapist right now, that it's more self-reflection than anything, to just kind of check in. And it does hurt my feelings a lot that I'm like, I know that I, quote unquote, need to be more of an adult and like make better decisions, like not having 6 energy drinks a day. Like,
Yeah.
But I don't want to. That's how I live. It's how I function. It's, for the record, I don't have 6 energy drinks a day. I can't afford that. But it's just like, I don't need to have an energy drink twice a day.
I like how that's the barrier.
Well, honestly. But like, I have coffee and I have all these things. Like, I don't need that. But do I need to drink more water? Yes. And I don't need my book boyfriend to remind me of that. That's not a thing. I mean, it is a thing, but I need to do better for me, not for my book boyfriend.
Yes.
So like,
yes.
That's one of the things that has really been hurting my feelings recently, that I'm like, the whole let them thing has really become, it's resonating more and more and more with me recently. And it's hurting my feelings too, because the reflective version of my brain is kicking in a lot more, and I don't like it. I want to be oblivious to my stupid, and it's not working very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, that's it for us, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Remember, we have merch, and check out our Linktree, and send this to anyone you think you would like it. Comment on socials, read the reviews. And Primal Queen, who Sarah and I are both taking, we both really love it. We have a discount code, and it helps you out, helps us out. Please do it.
25% discount code.
25% discount code, which is a lot. And it's pretty reasonably priced anyway. As a person who's notoriously cheap about self-care.
Correct.
Anyway, we love you. And without you, we would be potting into the void.